Welcome to the very last invited lecture, which is at the same time the very last talk of this summer school. It's nice to see you all here in such a big number. It's a really great pleasure for me to introduce Miguel Pisania as our last invited speaker. Let me say a few words about his path, his career. He's a man of many interests, and it all started in high school, when he also studied digital electronics and was working for 9 months repairing computers. This was back in the late 80s. An interesting fact about his studies then is that after high school he could do both bachelor and masters in parallel in 2 years and a half. I don't know any other researcher with this feature. So in fact what is interesting is that he entered master's degree studies a couple of months before he enrolled into bachelor studies. He did bachelor studies at the University UNAM, which is the National Autonomous University of Mexico, one of the 3 main state universities in Mexico, with a focus on group theory. And then master studies, not then, in parallel, master studies at another main state university in Mexico, the IPN, which is the National Polytechnic Institute. That was with a focus on number theory. So how come he could do these 2 things in parallel? It is because back at the time the only requirement to enroll into master studies at IPN was to take some oral examinations. And he had excellent background in mathematics from high school, and so he could enroll, in fact, before bachelor. So how did he do it? He used to take about 8 courses per term at UNAM, where the normal rate would be 4, and at the same time he took full master studies at IPN. So he was going on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays and Fridays, to UNAM for the bachelor studies, Tuesdays and Thursdays to IPN for the master studies. These 2 institutions are at the opposite ends of Mexico City. So it was a very interesting period, I'm sure. He then obtained PhD in 2002 at the University UAM, Metropolitan Autonomous University, which is the 3rd out of the 3 main state universities in Mexico. This time the topics was not groups or numbers, but graph theory. Well, actually he started his PhD working on parallel computing and routing, but then shifted to graph theory, first on topics related to dichromatic number, but then he shifted again to clique graphs. Since 1991, he was a professor at UAM and full professor since 2004. He published over 30 papers and mainly on clique graphs, which is what he will talk about today, and has many conference proceeding publications as well. He was a guest editor of Electronic Notes in Discrete Mathematics, 1 volume, and also of Discrete Applied Mathematics, and organized many conferences. He organized 22 conferences, not only in Mexico, but also in Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Canada, India, and France. He has very strong links to the Brazilian and Argentinian graph theory communities, and hopefully now also with the European one. He gave many conference talks, over 40, 7 of which were invited lectures. And when Miguel is doing research, he does not only use his brain, he also uses computers a lot and actively. He is, in fact, the creator and main contributor to a graph theory package for